Hi, this is Broderick Brown from FightSomeMortgage.com. And a lot of times when I get prospective callers, one of the things that we do at my office is we make sure that the prospective caller has independent information to support their claims. So if someone's calling about a leaky roof, for instance, or they have rats, or they have cockroaches or ants, and it's been going on years. We look for some sort of proof, some sort of written complaint, whether or not they've called a governmental agency out to do an inspection, or if they're a Section 8 tenant, whether a housing authority has came out there and failed the landlord because of the habitability defects. And so anytime you have a complaint, if you're a tenant, with your landlord, it's not enough to talk to them on the phone or in person. You need to document that conversation, and you need to document that complaint. So, like hypothetically, let's say someone moved in 2011. If they don't have any written documentation, and we're in 2021, so it's been 10 years, they've never complained to the city, there's been no failed inspections from Section 8, you need to have more documentation in order for you to have a strong case. Now, some things may speak for themselves, and so you can get around that. But generally speaking, you're going to have some documentation because the landlord is simply going to say, I didn't know. And the only reason it went unfixed for this long was because the tenant never told me. Every time Section 8 came out, once a year or every other year, I never failed an inspection. And so in order to get around those arguments, you need to document it. Because ultimately, and I say this all the time, but a landlord-tenant relationship is a business relationship. You're conducting business. You're paying the landlord to provide you with a place to live and a service, so that when something goes wrong with the house, they fix it, right? And so if you have that documentation and they still don't want to fix it, they're breaching the norms of the business arrangement. And generally speaking, at least here in California, the California law statutes and a lot of city statutes require the landlord to fix defects within a reasonable amount of time. And so when I talk to people, it's always a little frustrating when someone doesn't have any documentation. Sometimes that there may be the technology gap, or they don't know, or they want to be nice, but that documentation will prevent your case from being a he said, she said. And so keep that in mind if you have complaints about your landlord. And even if it's not a habitability issue, even if it's about a rental payment, even if it's about a noise complaint, whatever the issue, it's best that you document the issue in writing. In 2021, it's relatively easy. Text message, email, old school letters. But one of those three will be sufficient. Now, I'm not a huge fan of texting, because what I see is that a lot of times people lose their phones, or their text messages aren't backed up on a cloud, and then there's gaps in evidence. I'm more of a fan of an email, because very rarely have I seen a client say that they've been locked out of their email. And so you're a lot more likely to have evidence in your email folder from 2011 than for you to have a text message from 2011 or 2012 or 2013, particularly if you rotate your phones out often. So keep that in mind as you have complaints with your landlord, and as you hold your landlord's feet to the fire so that they uphold the business arrangement that you've entered with them. So if If you got any comments, slide into the comments. Let me know, give me any feedback. I appreciate you watching this video.